So according to last episode, we are already live, but it only lets me know right now. But you're in for a treat this week. So let's see who is on board. As soon as you start watching this on whatever platform you're watching this on, give me a comment. Yeah, give me a comment so we can see, where people are coming in from. And our special guests, we were just here, we sound check, we're all good, and it looked like they lost connection, so they will be back here shortly. But in this episode, we're going to be discussing the entrepreneur's dream, yeah, and that is going from 0 to then 7 figures, but then 8-figure businesses. So let me know in the comments if that's one of your goals as a business or property entrepreneur, that you want to take your business to 8 figures. Yeah, that's like 10 million plus. 7 figures is a million, and 10 million, 8 figures. Let me know in the comments if that is one of your dreams, yeah, or goals to do with your business. Because I also want to let you know the 10 million is actually the new 1 million. Yeah, 10 million is the new 1 million. In this episode, we're going to be discussing that, why that is the case, because people say, hey, I want to be a millionaire, but like millionaire, £1 million, actually, I want to discuss and show you that if that's all you get to, you're going to struggle. Yeah, so our special guest is back in the house. Let me bring them on screen right now. Mr. Michael Mackin. Yeah, good to have you on the episode of Business and Property Entrepreneur Podcast.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me onto the podcast. I'm excited to be here and to, share my story with people.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Yeah, for sure. And because we want to add so much value, that's why we do the podcast in the first place. But I also just dropped a link. It should be on whatever platform you are watching this on. And it's the Real Life's biggest giveaway ever so far. So you hit that link, you sign up to that. And there's just like a few tasks that you can do to earn basically like tickets to then what we're going to draw every week to give away like one-on-one coaching from our certified coaches. There's a prize where you get to go to a Michelin star restaurant with myself and Nikki. There is training programs we give away. There's books, there's real life merchandise. There's actually some stuff that we give away that you can't even buy, off any website or off anything else. Yeah. So it looks like we have some technical issues, but Michael is back quickly. Yeah, because that is what you got to do as an entrepreneur. You got to be able to spin the wheels quickly. Yeah. So that's all good. All good. So yeah, hopefully that don't happen again. But like, just give people the highlight reel of Mr. Michael Mackin. What was it like growing up, and what led you into business, entrepreneurship, and got you doing what you're doing today?
Okay, so growing up, I grew up in North London in a council estate, which was pretty nice and not too bad. My dad was my idol, my mentor, and I used to like follow him everywhere he went. I went to work with him as much as possible, so got a lot of exposure and insight into construction. In my education, I was fascinated by maths and physics. I went to university. I wanted to know how the universe worked, and really interested in that. I left university and decided to set up a business with my dad, and from there on we grew the company over like a 17-year period. In the last few years, started investing in property, and then decided to take a big change in direction around like 2020, 2021. And to look for like something that's going to have more positive impact in the world, and just what was my true mission. So that's kind of the highlight of my journey. And I'm excited about what the future holds for me and my family, and excited to be part of the Real Life group, which has given me a nice framework, a simplified framework to take this journey forwards.
Brilliant. Yeah, and we're going to get all into that. But one of the things I want to address, Michael, and we've talked about it a few times, is like this whole myth because around business, about entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of people who share like the good side of it and the textbook side of it and all the rest of it. like the Instagram life, if you know what I mean. And then some people, they talk about, oh no, it's a roller coaster journey and it's hard, but they don't actually really talk about what's hard. I think sometimes when people just feel a little bit sorry for themselves, they might post and say, yeah, I'm having a bad day, entrepreneurship's difficult or whatever. But me and you, we've talked about, and this is what's hard for some people to share, that sometimes you're looking at your bank account and you're thinking, geez, like, how am I going to pay people?
Absolutely, yeah.
Pay people. So just give us a bit of insight to that, Michael. Like what's that like? How you pull yourself through it?
Well, I think what I've learned along my journey is that sometimes I chose the hard route through, from my own mindset along the way, and employing people was a big challenge for me, and managing staff and sort of inspiring others on a continuous basis. Cash flow was a big thing. When we were a small business, lenders didn't really they saw us too high risk. So a lot of what we did was just organically grew. So cash was always tight. And there was times when we were working for huge companies that would create sort of reduce the flow of cash. So cash flow was really tough. It was an ongoing challenge. And it felt like we felt like a boxer in the ring that was on the ropes just all the time. All the way on the ropes. But that did feed into this sense of belief that if I'm not knocked down, I'm not knocked out, and you just keep going, and the belief was high. Belief was my most powerful tool.
Yeah.
That we would always have what we needed to, because our intention was pure and we were helping people. So it was tough. And also another myth is that having no boss, for me, I was my own boss. And at times I was the worst boss, I could have ever asked for. So this whole thing that having no boss is this space where you can just do whatever you want. Well, in my experience, to succeed in business as an entrepreneur, I had to be my own boss, not just have no boss. So that was another challenge as well.
Yeah. I totally get that. You're right. You can do what you want, and that's dangerous. For a lot of people, and I've been through that myself. And the only way I found through it is actually to create a team around where you have that vulnerability. You got to create a team around you, and I've done it many times. And I'm actually restructuring. I'll carry on for you guys. Michael will be back shortly, I'm guessing. Yeah, I've done it many times where I actually get a team around me and be vulnerable to say, hey. I'm a part of the leadership team, but hey, we're all here to keep each other accountable. Because if I just left myself to myself, I'm lazy. I don't know about you, Michael, but I'm lazy. I've got to have motivations. I've got to have. That's why when I started playing tennis, I'm like, I want to go win Wimbledon. Because if I don't put something like that over my head, if I say I'm just going to go play tennis, I'm going to start playing. I'll stop after a few weeks. So I like to have high levels of accountability. By the way, before we go any further, anybody watching right now, hit the share button. We're going to give some bonus points here. Hit the share button, tag at least 10 people. Yeah. And then I want you to direct message me when you've done this. Reason is, the giveaway, you get to 1 or 2 tickets. Anybody who does that right here on this session, going to give you 5. I'm going to give you 5 tickets to be winning one of these prizes as soon as we start drawing these things out, this giveaway. Yeah. So, Michael, there's been times where you have been having over 100 people in your organization. So when you're running thin with the money, the cash flow, you're not sure you're going to pay people. Like, are there certain people you tell, or do you tell no one? Do you tell everyone? How do you handle that?
Well, first of all, we always managed to pay everybody every week. And, sometimes our payroll was like 60, 70, even £80,000 a week. And when cash was running low, it was just the priority was making sure people got paid. The most important thing in my journey is people. And I understood that some of them really relied on that every week. So it was that was like a kind of the absolute must is that people got paid every week. And I'm fortunate that always happened. But yeah, I don't want to spread fear. So as you say, sometimes when the cash flow was tight, I'd hold it in because I wanted people. I didn't want to stifle anybody's belief of what was going on. So that was tough. I was lucky enough to have such a strong relationship with my wife, and she supported me, was my rock along the way to help me to just keep my levels of belief high and to have somebody to express what I was going through to along the journey. So having somebody outside the business who you really feel understands you and you have a powerful connection with, for me was the one of the most important sort of foundations of the business itself.
Yeah, but not everyone can handle it, you know. Everyone's got a different threat. Like I would say there's entrepreneurs out there like you and I that like we put ourselves on the line. Yeah, there's great benefits, great rewards, but there's also great responsibilities as well. But then also, I don't know if you had any of these in your team. I like to surround myself as well, especially in the leadership team, with people who I call intrapreneurs. They're people that either like, they've attempted and they've showed the entrepreneurial spirit, but for whatever reason, when push comes to shove, they just don't like living on the edge, or if they find themselves on the edge, so they prefer being with a team. Yeah, or maybe they just like they do think like an entrepreneur, but they don't really want to be, do it by themselves. They actually like, being part of another team and another system. Did you have any of those in your team?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had like a senior leadership team. In the end, I had a board of directors, but they were very much intrapreneurs, as you say. They were people who I worked very close with to understand what was their mission, what was their vision, and how can I make sure that that's aligned with where the business was going. They were people who very much took responsibility along the way, but accountability always lay with me. I had a financial director at the end. I realized that visibility was a very powerful tool. So having, visibility into the future of the financial positions was important, but not to get too caught up on trying to predict the future and create certainty. So that was another challenge when we were trying to, create visibility of what the future holds. So but also in my commercial team, we had good relationships with our clients. They needed us to succeed because their success relied upon us delivering on their outcomes. So we worked with that too. We just always managed to somehow things were. Hence the analogy of boxers on the ring, on the ropes. We never believed that we were going to get knocked out, and we never did. So I think belief was the most powerful thing. And I had people around me that were like, yes, absolutely. There was never a moment when people would be thinking, no, I don't think this is going to, something isn't going to happen, So we had.
Was it a case of like, you had contracts, people owed you money, or was it like, we don't even have any sales, we've got to get sales?
No, it was all about getting paid.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah, I want to take this moment, by the way. Look, if you want to be in a chance to win the giveaway, you got to hit the share button. Let us know in the comments. So do comment, say, yeah, I've hit the share button, and you tag at least 10 people. We'll be giving everybody who does that here live. We'll be giving them 5 tickets for the giveaway. Get one-on-one coaching, training programs, online training programs. There's memberships. There is loads of stuff to give away. So go ahead and click that link that I've put in there. You'll be able to see how to register for that. Yeah, Michael, you were saying.
So apologies for keeping dropping out, by the way. My son has installed a VPN for me, which is very good, trying to protect me, and somehow it keeps like kicking me out every few minutes. I apologize for that. It's new technology. Please, thank you for bearing with me. So where were we, Mark, with the last question? So basically we were always waiting to get paid. Our contracts, all of our competitors were like 10 times the size of our business. So we were like, in the industry we were in construction and civil engineering, our clients were like £1 billion companies, even when we were only like £1-2 million turnover. So when we got like 1 or 2 new contracts, sometimes that was all we could cope with. But it was very much outlay and then getting paid. And towards the end, our biggest asset on our balance sheet was our work in progress figures. All the work we did that we hadn't been paid for. There was like sometimes £1.6 million of works that we had delivered that we hadn't been paid for at any moment in time. So it was very much about ensuring money flowed, and the cash was like the air that we breathe. and then the profits was like the lifeblood of the business, ensuring that it could be healthy and grow.
Yeah. And it's interesting you talk about that, like having that much that you got to borrow, you got to have lines of credit yourself, you've got to then have the ability to stretch. And some people, they say, because a lot of people on these channels, they're watching it because they're into property entrepreneurship. But some people, they say like, oh, it's a bit scary to get into property, and like when I dig down like why that is, it's because of like large sums of money. I mean, it's interesting that people go get a mortgage for a residential house and go and live in that and not really see that as a scary thing. But then all of a sudden, when it comes to doing that to actually make some money, some people, they might be a bit scared. So like what can you share from your experience? Because I know that you've gone out there and obviously we've been working together and you're starting leveraging money now against assets that in the past that previously you paid cash for and things like that. So what would you say is a mindset shift people might need to adopt on this basis?
Well, my own personal view, is that like risk is a part of life, and very much trying to control risk, but when it comes to financial, really like the reward comes with taking risk. So if you want the rewards, then you need to be willing to take the risk. But I think what's important is to understand my own and our own appetite for risk. I think a lot of people have a different appetite for risk. And when you get that down, then you just start taking risk at your level of appetite, and then see if that grows as it did for me along the journey. So start with, if you're not comfortable taking the big risks, then take a risk that you're comfortable taking, and then get used to it, because I feel that the rewards come from taking the risk.
But what about, because there's a lot of sayings out there, and I believe it to be true also, is like, you're like your true potential or your next move or the life that you want is just outside of that comfort zone. So what about, if people are only doing things that are comfortable, like probably following the steps of the system, how do you get outside of the system? How do you take that step? So like what can you do to help yourself, do something that you've never done before?
Well, kind of trying to tap into your own intuition, and your own kind of inner wisdom of what is it you truly are here to do, and what is it that is going to give you the maximum impact in your life, and just trusting in your intuition, even though you like acting despite fear. Then, Mark, I would say would be the kind of the key to just be able to like understand what it is you're truly trying to go for. And
yeah, definitely what Michael is saying there, and this is where we've helped a lot of people actually get bigger results than what they ever thought possible, because when you use property as a vehicle, to then live the life and be able to follow your passions, that's a different story of some people just like, oh, I want to quit my job. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that people want to quit their job, or they want to have a new line of work or a new line of business, or they want to make a passive vehicle. But like when you use property to then follow and do what you love, actually makes it so different. I
think property is like, in my opinion, a low risk situation, because I mean, like even when I purchased properties before the financial crash in 2008, like all of a sudden, like interest rates started coming down, rent started going up. I had to sit on properties that I had intended to sell, so cash was a bit tight. But before long, it just started expanding again, and that's like throughout history, it's continued to like pay the rewards to anybody who just doesn't give up and just stands firm when the wider economy is sort of having some turmoil that can impact on your own investments.
Yeah, I think it's a big misunderstanding that like timing the property market, like you got to buy at the right time. Like money in the property game is made by the amount of time in the market. You don't have to time it. You could buy anytime. Even if you buy when it's high, I bought when it's high. And like, how do you know that it's high anyway? You can only know that from the past. You don't know that from the future. You can't say I'm buying now because the price is going to go down, so I bought when it's high. I mean, they may go down, they may go up. So maybe you didn't buy high. Yeah, so people's concern is that. But then they're like, oh yeah, but what if I buy it and I can't sell it? And that's when, like you say, as long as it's going to work both ways, because obviously there's a buying and selling model, which can get great capital returns, but there's also, buy and hold strategy, and as long as your properties and certain buildings work on both, then you can sell it when the price is right for you, or you can buy and hold it. Because at the end of the day, if the prices drop, this is what I want you guys listening to understand. If the prices drop, it's because people ain't buying. And if they're not buying, then what are they doing? They're renting. Yeah. So like, and then if they stop renting, why are they stopping renting? Because they're buying. So now it's time to sell. Yeah. So like, keeping the wheels turning, keeping lots of deals, lots of properties going through, your business, like, this is the way forward, keeping it flat. Some people just say buy and hold everything. Yeah. Don't never sell real estate because it goes up. I mean, I like to, move the chess pieces around on the board, not just sit there looking at the chessboard thinking, oh, that's a good ornament. I don't know about you, Michael. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes, if that's if you feel that's the case, then kind of it can become stagnant. It can, for me, in my experience, like it was like the energy of the money got blocked, by holding on for too long to some properties, and actually to kind of freshen things up, to sell and reposition was good, but also to have that contingency plan, like you say, not necessarily a plan B, but just a contingency plan that I might know what I want to do, but I might not necessarily be able to predict exactly when it's going to be optimum for me to do that. Then having that contingency plan of renting and holding, it keeps you realizing that you're always going to have a strategy that will work, whatever the wider economy is doing.
Yeah. And actually, sticking with the analogy of chess, I quite like it. In many programs that we've done, I always, get, in one of the programs, I'll get this chessboard out, right? And everyone's there. I say, who wants to play me at chess? And people get all competitive. I say, yeah. And I say, okay. And before we start, I say, right, now make your 20th move. People are confused. Like, you mean make 20th move? Yeah. And then anyway, the teaching and the learning is like, you can't make no 20th move. You don't know what the 20th move is going to be because you don't know where the pieces are. The biggest challenge for a lot of people when it comes to property is they ain't even got any pieces on the chessboard. Yeah, so like, how can you, like, you don't get any piece on the chessboard, like they're waiting. Yeah, but like, as soon as you do start putting pieces on the board, you might not do the best deal. You might not, turn out the way it was supposed to turn out. You might make massive mistakes, like, oh, you move a chess piece and all of a sudden it gets taken off the board. Yeah, the great thing in real estate is like, you don't really get your stuff, you don't get your properties taken off you. Yeah, like on the chessboard, if you make a wrong move, but all you do is you just learn a lesson, and it's like, oh, okay, I need to do that differently next time. Oh, I need to keep that project on track. Oh, I need that contract in place. Yeah, but like, once you start having all these pieces on the chessboard, now you can start moving them around. I promise, like, from year 3 to year 5, oh my goodness, you can start really moving. Now you got chess pieces to move about. Yeah, when you do 10 deals, 15 deals, 20 deals, and you got all these chess pieces, you start moving around, you're just going to think, wow, if I'd have started before. Yeah, and then that's the motivation to keep going. But for these people that don't start and don't get play chess, because some people, they do deals, they're like, oh, this deal is not very good, I shouldn't have done property investing, I knew it wouldn't work for me. No, well, you've only just got some chess pieces on the board. You've got to put some more on the board, not less, not take them off, because that's what people do, isn't it, Michael, in business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very good analogy, Mark. And like, a lot of the time people can get caught up saying our properties are way overpriced now because they look back at how much property prices have gone up. And as I think one of your analogies goes, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, but the next best time is now, and let it grow from this moment forward. So like, yeah, I think getting more chess pieces on the board is good. The other reason I love the property strategy, and now I'm focusing more solely on that, is nobody can come in, your properties don't come in and say you're fired. Your job is now, you have to go and look for another source of income. Nobody can not pay you. Like, tenants can mess you around a little bit, but in my experience, that's not happened in that way. But like with my construction business, clients could not pay you big amounts of money. I feel much more in control as a property entrepreneur than any other sort of aspect of kind of financial abundance and freedom. On my journey, so.
Yeah, for sure. So we didn't actually discuss this, and we've never talked about this subject, but it says it right here in the whatever that thing is at the bottom. It says 10 million is the new 1 million. What comes to mind when I say that?
What comes to mind when you say that is that really 10 million is the new kind of target for what previously was to be a millionaire, to feel that financial abundance and freedom of being a millionaire. Like, a small 3-bed house in my estate where I grew up is £500,000 now. Whereas, so I think it's just like evolution of like money as well. But also that there was an old saying that like your first million is the hardest to make, and then it gets easier from there. Whereas I think now possibly your first 10 million is the hardest to make, and then it gets easier from there. So that's what comes to me, Mark, when you say that. What comes to you?
Yeah, good question. Look, I believe if you've got 1 million, and so let me know in the comments if you disagree. A lot of people won't even comment, but I think if you've got £1 million, you're still broke. You're like, I don't know, one, depends on the size of the move, but you're like 2 or 3 moves away from being back at zero. So for me, like 1 million, you're broke still. But like you say, years ago, I don't know how many years, that might have been a lot of money.
Yeah. But millionaire was a big statement.
Yeah, because look, when you make a mistake, when you're playing a small game, like you've got a 30 grand salary or whatever, you make a mistake, you crash your car, I don't know, you leave door open, you get burgled or whatever. There's a few £1,000s there. It's like, oh wow, that's a problem. Put it on a credit card. Yeah, but if you want to be like, doing something, you're going to do a property deal, you got people invest in stupid scams for some reason, and that's probably because we're not giving them enough opportunity to invest in us, Michael. We need to shout louder, hey, come on, you need to invest in something serious, something they're doing. Yeah, then literally you're two or three moves away from being back at nothing, being back at like living on the hand to mouth. Yeah, so that might scare some people. Some people might turn their head away. Some people might ignore it because they're like, if anything like I've been in times of my life, I've been figuring out how the frick can I pay my bills? How can I buy food? I've been at all those places. So like thinking about 10 million right now is far distant away. Yeah, but anybody who doesn't have a plan over the next 5 years to go from 0 to 2 million to 10 million, like one of the things, by the way, my book, which you can win in that giveaway, go ahead and register for the giveaway. Share this right now. Tell me you shared it. Tag at least 10 people. Go out to the Facebook thingy, go into LinkedIn, go into YouTube, tag some people, share this thing, let people know. We'll give you 5 tickets. But if you haven't got a plan over the next 5 years, by the way, you know exactly how you're going to do it. And by the way, I don't mean like exactly the actions, but like at least the framework and the plan of how to get from 0, if that's where you are, to 2 million to 10 million. Yeah, it's going to be a hard time, because as things start to change and the cost of living goes up. I mean, Michael, I don't go to the shops very often, like we order it online and you don't look at the prices, or at least I don't see it. Yeah. But we were traveling around Europe. So we were staying in loads of places. So like naturally we were doing our own shops, so we could obviously eat as we're traveling around. A box of, even in Eastern Europe, which is cheaper than here, my friend. Yeah. Money goes further out there. A box of cereals is like 3-4 quid. A box of cereal, and that stuff's crap. And it's like my family, there's 7 of us, 3 of the kids eat that. That's gone after like one and a bit day. Yeah, it's like you go to a restaurant. I don't know about what it costs for you guys, because there's four of you, yeah. But you know, with
Yes.
six of us who are eating, because Lily's still on the, you know, the golden juice. Yeah, like you're looking at 70 to 100 quid, and that's if you go somewhere cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, with the 10 million to 1 million, 10 million is the new 1 million as well. I think like what really resonated with me later on in my journey with the construction business was like, what sort of lifestyle, if my target is 10 million, what sort of lifestyle is it that I want to live with that? You know, and to really let that be the fuel that took me forward. But yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things I invest in is food, you know, and clean food, healthy food, organic food, local farmers and stuff. And it's very expensive. Like when I was younger, it was like the junk stuff that was like more expensive and the healthier stuff was cheaper. And that's just flipped around, you know, like if you want to eat well, then it's very expensive. So like again, you know, inflation is rising the costs of stuff. So I see like property investment as a way of kind of shielding myself to an extent from that, because with inflation generally, you know, it boosts the property prices along the way.
I mean, that's another podcast for another day of why is it that healthy food is so difficult and how they've ran farmers into the ground and made them mass produce things, which makes them only give niche. You know, they only have to like specialize in one thing for them to succeed, you know, like chicken or whatever. You know, that's another thing for another day. But the point is, like, if you want to be healthy, you know, like if you want to take your cars to the car wash, or you got to do it yourself, which now you know, like your time's getting taken up. What about your gardening? What about your house cleaning? You know, like if you want to do all of this yourself versus you want to like, I like to spread the love. I employ people. I don't do any of that stuff myself. Yeah, I don't even want. Even if I wanted to, I probably still would have, but I don't want to anyway. Yeah, and then when it comes to business, like, yeah, I'd rather have a higher expenses and wage bill, you know, because more people could do it, but I get more time to do what I love rather than try and bring everything in house, do everything myself. I love um using agencies, management agencies, marketing agencies, you know, like anybody can give us this stuff. I have a personal trainer, keep me accountable, you know, so that, like, people might say, yeah, but the Mark, that's luxuries. Yeah, like if living a healthy lifestyle is luxury, what does the freaking world come to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a method as well. Like when I was growing my construction business at times, we
Yeah, I'll carry on with what I was saying. Yeah, like this, if it's a luxury to be healthy, what's the world come to? That's not a luxury. Like living a healthy lifestyle for me is essential, not just for myself, but for my kids, you know, for my partner. Like if someone is ill, even in my business, you know, like a healthy lifestyle is not a luxury that everyone, like if someone in the business is not well, then you know this is like disaster. Like, you know, they lose their momentum, we stop delivering on stuff that as well as we could have done. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but like we're very progressive, we're fast paced, you know, we want to move forward. We got a lot of people to help. You know, our mission is to empower ourselves and others to live the five freedoms, you know, by creating the ultimate environment to work, rest and play. We opening the resort. I got builders, we got, you know, work to do, we got job to do, Michael. So you know, for me, living a healthy life is not a luxury, it's a freaking necessity.
Yeah, absolutely the same. And sorry, I got cut off there, but what I was saying was that I think your way of employing other people and creating that space for yourself and for your resources of your business is a method. Like at times in my business, I learned the hard way, thinking that I had to grow the business, increase the budget so that then I could employ people. But I was always kind of backfilling. And then we realized actually, if we employ the people, we can create the space within which the business will grow. And I can focus on simplifications, because that was another way of growing, like to simplify things, to make tasks less resource kind of demand on resource. So yeah, I think that's a really powerful method to grow organically a business where people aren't overwhelmed.
Yeah, and this has come up many times with my different mentors that I've had. Like, but what about the budget for hiring people? Did you ever have that?
Yeah, we always had a budget for our businesses, like overheads, you know, and
I mean, for hiring new people, what, you had a budget set aside? Because now that is a luxury.
Do you mean a budget set aside for new people? Well, we'd be always targeting a higher turnover, which was a target of an increased spend of overhead. So we would think, what are we going to spend that on? We wouldn't wait to see. We would think we need to spend that. We just need to get it right on where we spend that. And yeah, that would be kind of the strategy there. Knowing if we waited till it was obvious what we required, then it was too late and we were backfilling, like I said before.
Brilliant. That's powerful, and that takes courage, because some people, they sit back, and I've done this before, sat back thinking, yeah, we need to make more money first before we can hire more people, increase the wage bill. But there becomes a time where it's like, no, listen, you got to take that jump. You got to take that. You got to get those people in, and then we're accountable to, like, okay, they got to help us increase the productivity, the efficiency, the sales, and so on. Yeah, but some people, they might sit back. Yeah, so like some people sitting there even right now with their property businesses, like, oh yeah, but I'm not making any money, to hire anyone. It's like, you're going to struggle to make more money because you don't hire anyone. You get people hiring. The first person, by the way, you want to hire, I ignored this advice. Yeah, it's a bookkeeper. I ignore the advice to backtrack, but you got to get a bookkeeper as a part of your team, in-house, somebody who knows what they're doing. Like your culture, your values, your methods of, profit and loss and all the rest of it. And another thing, again, Michael, I never used to do this, especially in my younger days. I wanted everything for free or figure it out myself. I never invested in a mentor, never had a coach, and never even probably listened to advice. Yeah, but as soon as I started paying for it, yeah, then all of a sudden I start listening. Yeah, because I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm paying this now. And that changed the game for me. And I persistently and consistently spend, 6 figures a year on coaching, on mentoring, on training, on retreats, on anything that just give me these tiny tipping points. I'm not always looking for like a massive, 360 like revelation. I mean, that's great if that happens, but I'm just looking for like tiny like pivot point ideas that just create more focus, that just work on the 20% that makes a difference, the 20% that delivers 80%. My method, I told you guys in the partner program, I say, look, 20% delivers 80% of the result. Well, my strategy is I'll focus 50% of my time then on the 20% and have the rest of the time doing whatever I want. And that's actually, it's working because it forces me to focus on doing stuff that makes a difference. Yeah, and I like that. So let's get to the point of this, Michael. Like, you get to a point. Oh, he's gone now. Can I ask him a question? Yeah, when he comes back, I'll ask him this question. But like, let me know if you guys have any questions, by the way, about entrepreneurship, about what it's like, about any fears that you might have of either starting a business, scaling a business, taking a business to another level. Because we could talk about it till the cows come home, but like, there'd be a time where you got to ask a question of like, yeah, what is that next move that you got to make? Yeah. So, Michael, what I was going to ask you is, like sometimes you go through the journey of entrepreneurship and you get like certain scars and like you go through hardship and, all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden we might say, hey, listen, I need to kind of either just level out for a period of time or I need to back off, or I don't want to put myself through that. How has that, come about within your journey? Are you at that stage where you're like, hey, I want to go to the next level, or you still want to take some time?
Well, I started in business very young. I started helping my dad when I was 16 years old, and then started my first business when I was like 20. And it was very fast. And I didn't do well with the mentoring thing. I tried to do it all myself and surround myself with people who inspired me. But that was an area where I realized perhaps I could have given myself more support along the way. And yeah, there were scars, there were crises that went on. There were crises that went on that took me into like some sort of dark, shadowy times. And really that was what I did from there is personal development work, and that kind of going inside and thinking all of this external stuff is a reflection of something, or at least is a opportunity for me to delve within myself and see how I can strengthen and let go of any limiting beliefs that were preventing me from moving on to the next level. And I always felt like my level of success was my level of belief, and that was a journey of incrementally increase in belief. And then, but yeah, certain things come along that would knock that back down a peg or two. And I needed to take time to journey inwards. I've always, like, for about 10 years now, I've been into meditation and yoga and pranayama, ancient practices of transcending, mind and trying to see how you can use your kind of like higher awareness to guide your way forwards.
And what's kind of the like, because that's almost the merging of two worlds, right? You got the hardcore bit, business, construction, engineering world, and then we're talking about meditation, we're talking about breath work, we're talking about, self-development. Like, have you find that they mix, or are people just one or the other?
Well, it was tough. I started changing towards more kind of like seeing things from a spiritual as well as a scientific perspective, and to believing in mindset and the power of presence and belief and all that. And as I started changing, a lot of the people I were around, not everyone is ready to change at the same time. So yeah, that has been challenging, but me and my wife have now set up a business which is all about breath work. So a few years ago, I went to study to become a breathwork coach, to use it as a transformational tool, as a tool that can just give you more energy and all that, and also sound healing and sound therapy. The ancient ways of using sound as a medicine. So me and my wife have set up a business where we're using this. We've got a mission of that nature to help people to reconnect with their true balance and the merging of that and the construction business is really my vision to create homes that connect people with nature, to be a new age home builder that builds in a way that combines like eco homes with nature homes, and that's where the two worlds have combined for me. So yeah, it's exciting.
Good. Hey, look, if anyone's got any questions, get them in. We'll see if we can get them answered before we start wrapping this up. But I just want to sum up, the journey I went on. All of my wealth comes from spirituality. Delving into the human potential, the human spirit. Understanding what it's like to be present, like what is it, all the top sporting athletes, movie stars, and the great people, the great game changers of this world, super strength, super endurance, people like Novak Djokovic, the Cristiano Ronaldos, like, what is it? Like, is it they're just going to the gym? It can't freaking be, because everybody goes to the gym in the sport. Everybody trains on the football pitch. There has to be something else. And like when I started getting into it, like I've always worked hard. I've always thought, okay, the harder I work, the more money I make. I work 7 days a week. I work freaking 8 days a week. Like I'll put the time in. But that's not what gave me the fulfillment. Number one, it didn't. And number two, it didn't give me the big bucks. Yeah, you can earn decent money, by putting in the time. But putting in the time, there's only so much that your body can do, and there's only so much time you have. So like to take it to another level, there had to be something else. And that's when I started looking into the mindset, the emotions, law of attraction, self-development, personal development. What is the human spirit? Am I this body? I'm not this body. Am I this mind? I'm not this mind. Yeah, but like you say, Michael, some people are not ready for that. Yeah, but like, intertwined with everything we teach and everything. And I know that's why you came to our 2-day, boot camp, back,
was it only November? I think it was November. Was it, or October?
Was it only last year? Wow, my goodness. October. So much has happened in not even 1 year. Can you believe? I mean, you see, like when you tap into this human spirit, this power, then like things can develop and go, and like this last year has felt like 10 years. Most people are worried like, wow, the last 10 years has felt like 1 year. Like, the last freaking 4 or 5 weeks for me has felt like 5 years in a good way. Like, so many things happening. So what would you say about all of that? And do people have to make, is there going to be one time where people have to make a decision to go in this, or will there always just be a market where whatever, just do an honest day's work, get an honest day's pay?
Well, I mean, for me, whenever I had that, like the aha moments or big breakthrough moments, it felt like I was connected to a more kind of like higher power or spiritual within me presence that would guide my way. Towards the end of my construction business, the next business plan was to go from 10 million to 100 million, and we had it all set up, ready to rock and roll. £100 million group of construction-related companies, and something just stopped me. The universe was like, there was situations happening that just felt like real powerful signs. And I realized that I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know why. So I think for me, what the journey has been going into like the spirit, if you like, but really I just call it consciousness, and seeing and elevating my consciousness to have more of that power, that sort of awareness of what my true mission is, or at least what my next level up of my mission is, and what the purpose of that is, so that then everything flowed from there, and now this new journey is mission led, not target driven. It's not about money, it's about the product of the business, and the money is just a vehicle and a form of energy that's going to fuel the sort of creative manifestation of my purpose.
Yeah, we've talked about this many times, and obviously I think we've found our paths, and that's why we crossed paths, and that's why you became a part of the group and the community. And that is, there's a lot of people out there that they do make money, but they're not fulfilled. The health goes off, whether it's physical health, mental health, emotional health, their relationships go out the water, whatever. But then there's other people that like, they're into the spiritual stuff. They get it. They understand meditation, all the rest of it. But now they ain't got no money.
Yes.
So like the game is like, how do you, play the game of life, understand the rules of life, to have this fulfillment, true connection, and be able to honor, the spirit, as well as, play this physical material world of finances. Like, I freaking love money, like, and I love money. I'm not afraid of money. I don't dislike, some people, they say, oh, money, it's not about money, like money is not as important as love, or I don't need, like, I get it. Like today most of society live higher than the standard of the king, 100 years ago. They didn't have what we got. They didn't have access to what we got here. Like basically everyone got, it's a higher standard than the king. Yeah. So I get about being grateful, but I think there's some people out there that use being grateful as an excuse to not discover their true potential, to not, deliver or do what they were said to do. And right now, as it stands, I don't know. I know it won't be. I don't know how long it's going to take, 50 years, 500 years. Maybe money as it stands today won't be what it is. But that's mind blowing for some people, because we're talking about business, entrepreneurship, and money, and the 10 million is the new 1 million and all of that jazz. But as it stands, freaking money is useful right now. Money is a way. The more money I got, the more people I can help. That's the way I see it.
Absolutely.
Myself. So what would you do because we got our guys, they got a mastermind every week. We have training, coaching, mentoring, mastermind, like all these different things that always happen on a Monday. So we got to let those guys have a bit of a break before they go on there. But Michael, how would you sum this up as either a piece of advice or just sharing a piece of experience that has got you to where you are now, and what would be useful for people to take on board for them?
Well, I think what I would say is that presence is a powerful spiritual ability, and meditation in whatever form that works for you is a powerful tool to to try and seek your true mission. And if you don't know what it is, then to just, like you say, Mark, get version 1 down, what feels like the next step, and to have a mission that is like your beacon that's guiding you forwards. Because I do think that like money is a form of energy, and it's a very useful way of helping people. But I think, for me to tap into the higher, my sort of higher self, to figure out my truer mission, but then it's about bringing that back down to earth and think, what physically, materialistically does that mean here? And what is it I'm supposed to be creating? Because I think we're all creators and we're here to create stuff physically as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of my summary of using the spirit in line with the physical and financial.
Totally amazing. And actually, it just reminded me of something that we discussed many times as individual, one-on-one, but also as a wider partner program. Is like some people, they say, like, when I get the money or when I get the time or when I get the chance, then I'll play a bigger game. But as we know, it's the other way around. You play the bigger game, the time shows up, the money shows up, the opportunity, the people, the circumstances, the events, they show up. You got to go play that bigger game. You got to start putting chess pieces on the board. Or or like the opportunity to win by getting checkmate. Don't freaking show up with no pieces. It don't show up with no moves. That's for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. For me, it's just about like playing the bigger game in the mind as well. That's been one of my strengths over the years. Play the bigger game in the mind, and keep going on a journey of discovery of yourself and discovery of how you can have the maximum impact in the world.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go and play a bigger game. I'm going to go and watch Deadpool and Wolverine.
Nice. Enjoy.
Date night on Monday.
Thank you for having me on your podcast, Mark.
No, amazing. Thank you for coming on. Having someone like you with the wealth of experience that you've got, so much more we could have gone into. We look forward to having you on here again. So thank you, everybody, for watching, commenting, listening, wherever you are, whether it's live or on the replay. And until next time, do the right thing for the right reason, because